I'm reading a book written by a man who killed himself at a relatively young age, and I want to talk about him a little, but first I want to consider the advisability of reading anything by someone who killed themselves, because it could be contagious. I'm not kidding about that. Writing is essentially about spreading itself. It's a form of broadcasting as extremely as possible from one mind to another. That's exactly what makes writing and reading a dangerous activity. It could lead to the dissemination of all kinds of information. So why am I reading this book? Because I enjoy it, albeit in a perverse way. This writer is like chicken livers or bird watching. He's not for everyone. He's an acquired taste. But overall, with reservations, I like reading him. I admire his work. Should I be worried? Then I'm thinking, relax. You've read some Virginia Woolf, and there was quite a bit of Ernest Hemingway, and that John Kennedy Toole, Hart Crane, John Berryman, Sylvia Plath, Richard Brautigan, probably others. I wonder, how many of those who failed to achieve notoriety or publication took their lives in despair, a small ceremony that passed, as did they, without notice? Rather than comforting me, this has quite the opposite effect. It alarms me even more. It seems that writers, taken as a group, are prone to suicide. At least, are more susceptible to that end than barbers or dental hygienists, carpenters or plumbers, lawyers or electricians. I can think of a few artists who killed themselves. Some people are more vulnerable than others, are not able to face what can be the pain of fierce and unrelenting attack. It comes down to that, I think, a question of stability. When the blows of life assault you, how much can you take? Which begs the question, how much do you have to take? In another one of these, we've seen that soldiers are killing themselves in alarming numbers because they can't face the terrible situation they're in. Many people kill themselves not because they want to die, but because death is finally preferable to the life they're living, a life that is tearing them apart every waking moment and lurking in the night, too. The writer of the book I was reading used the example of people who will jump out of a burning building, not certainly because they want to die, but because they cannot face the flames. Former pro football players have been killing themselves lately. They had concussions, injuries to the brain during their careers over and over, who knows how many times. And unlike the hip and the knee, the brain can't be replaced by a prosthetic. These players have to live with that damaged organ day after day, and it's torture. It becomes so painful to them that they kill themselves to end that pain. No mystery about it. Living can be painful. Pain can be unendurable, and people are able to live with varying amounts of pain. Some are overcome and want only to end it, to stop the pain. Albert Camus set the table, as it were, for my generation of people when he said that suicide was the central question of existence. It wasn't some dark, deep, inner secret deliberation hidden far away in the shadows. It was something that you could, and even should, face up to every day. You do have that choice. And life can easily be seen as being pointless, absurd, invested only with the meaning we give to it, and so you see people in the world furiously investing their lives with bulwarks of meaning, carnivals of meaning, Googles of meaning, rather than facing that emptiness. If you can stay busy enough, maybe you can duck the pain. Maybe you can ignore it, it will go away. Part of the problem with the soldiers and the retired athletes, and certainly writers, is they're not busy enough. They've got way too much free time, and in part, that's what's killing them. When someone kills themselves, we often conclude that they were mentally ill, insane, unbalanced, unstable, cracked. The soldier, overwhelmed by the constant threat of violent death. The athlete, unhinged by head trauma. The writer, who can no longer bear to live with his corrosive thoughts. It is said that the unexamined life is not worth living. It appears that sometimes the thoroughly examined life can be too much to bear. Montaigne, the essayist, a keen observer of his life, said, "Nothing human is alien to me." Well, no, he didn't just say it or even write it. It was carved in Latin in the timbers of his house, obviously words to him to live by, for him to live by. It was a far-reaching claim, almost a boast. If it's true, it could come back to haunt you like a terrible curse. I have thought, as I regarded human behavior all these years, that in some instances, the far reaches, I wish it were not so. It can make even a fairly simple thing like reading quite an arduous, problematical chore.